Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where, as you can see, or hopefully hear, my voice is still not quite right, but I'm going to try and record a video anyway, and I think we should have a treat for you again today, because this puzzle on screen is called Equal Sum Lines 2, and it's by Maxim Lee, who goes under the pseudonym 28 Degrees over on Discord. Now, this has been recommended to us by the Discord server, and when I first saw it, I thought, oh, equal sum lines puzzles, I love those, I've not done one of these for ages, but I've read the rules, and this is a weird twist on equal sum lines, and I think it's going to be very interesting. So, I'll get to those in a moment, but we've got a treat for you today. Many of you will know the fabulous constructor Philip Newman. Philip is one of the people who creates the gas puzzles over on the Discord server. So these are these genuinely approachable Sudoku puzzles. They only take a few minutes every day, and there's one every day over on Discord on the daily Sudoku channel there. And Philip celebrated recently his 1-year anniversary of first appearing on Cracking the Cryptic, and to celebrate that he released a puzzle pack, and this is that puzzle pack. It's called Counting to 9, which is quite amusing because there are actually 10 puzzles in the puzzle pack, but this is really beautiful stuff. There's sort of all sorts. In fact, that one, look, that's a normal Sudoku puzzle, but Philip's normal Sudoku puzzles are things to be very afraid of in my experience. And look, I think there's one in here he recommends I should try at some point. This one, Region for the Stars. So I might have a look at that for a video at some stage. It looks rather beautiful, doesn't it? Anyway, so if you'd like to play these puzzles, you can. You can see this page we've set up is designed around our SudokuPad app. So you can basically go to this page and just click on the links and it'll load up into your SudokuPad. If you don't have SudokuPad, you can still play the puzzles, and just go over to our Patreon page, and they're available free there. So there's a document there where you'll find all these puzzles and you can play them. So this is rather beautiful and fabulous stuff from Philip. So I thought you'd like to see that. There you go. Anything else to mention? Just one thing, which is, of course, tomorrow night is Bubba Is You night. I don't know how that's going to go. I have to hope my voice improves a little bit, or I'm going to be somewhat silent, but Mark will be there to help me, no doubt, regale you with anecdotes and chat aplenty. Now, with all that said, let's get on to 28 Degrees. I don't know whether I should call the author Maxim Lee or 28 Degrees. Maybe 28 Degrees. We'll go with the pseudonym, and I'll read you the rules. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. For each line, it has an equal sum in each box it passes through. Now, when I first read that, I wasn't sure what that meant, so I thought about it for a few minutes, and then I actually I got the editor to add in the following explanation, just so that everyone's clear. E.g., for the line that starts in row 4, column 3, which is this line here, so you can see this line, it passes through 3 different boxes. Look, it's in box 4, it moves into box 1, and then it moves into box 2. Now, along this line, this digit has to have the same sum as those 2 digits added together, and they both have this also has the same sum as those 2 cells added together. So these 2 cells, let's put some digits in this, that's going to be easiest. Let's make that 5 and 4. So 5 and 4 add up to 9. Now these 2 squares now have to add up to 9. Let's make them 1 and 8. And now this square has to add up to 9, so that's just a 9. And now as we move along this, I was going to call it an arrow, but it's not an arrow. As we move along the line, you can see for each box it passes through, the cells along the line in each box do add to the same total, so that meets the conditions of the puzzle. So it's a very simple sounding rule, but it's somewhat extraordinary to me that there are no given digits in the puzzle. We'll have to see how it solves, I hope. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I don't really have a strategy for doing this. I mean, I can see this line here is by far the longest line. Let's just think about what this line is telling us. It's telling us that those 3 squares sum to the same as those 2 squares, which sum to the same as those 2 squares, the same as those 2 squares, the sum of those 3 squares. That's about as useful as a chocolate teapot, isn't it? That I don't really understand. Well, I do understand it, I just don't see how to use that at all. Oh, I know what we might be able to do. What about this? Yeah, this one's weird because it operates a bit like an arrow, doesn't it? Because what we know here, for this line here, we know those 3 cells sum to the same as that cell. So this is like the circled cell of an arrow. And if we're summing 3 different digits, which we are, 3 different digits will add up to at least 6. So this square must be a 6, 7, 8, or 9. Now, have we got more? Well, we've got this one, which, oh no, that doesn't, that's just summing 2 cells though. So this one doesn't quite work with the same potency, neither does that one. This cell is the sum of those 2 cells, but this could be as low as 3, if that was a 1 and a 2, so that's not how we're going to break into the puzzle. What about the line in column 9 then? We've got those 3 cells are the same as those 3 cells. So we are, okay, so we know those 3 cells added together are odd. How do we know that? Well, we can use the secret to deduce that. The secret, of course, and this is something I only tell my favourite people, but basically any column of a Sudoku, indeed any row of a Sudoku or any box of a Sudoku will, if we correctly complete it, contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. Now if I add up the digits 1 to 9 once each, I get 45. So I know this column sums to 45, but whatever this adds up to is the same as this. So I could express the total of this arrow. Let's imagine that's x. Then the whole arrow, or not whole arrow, the whole line would be 2x. In other words, these 6 cells, when summed together, are an even number, because they can be expressed as 2 times something. Now, if these are an even number, and the whole column is an odd number, those 3 squares must sum to an odd number. No, still don't think that's useful. This line is giving me those 2 add up to those 2 add up to these 2. That's useless. The top line, oh yeah, okay. I didn't really like the look of this line, because although I could see it was long and straight, I didn't really understand why it poked. You know, it didn't sort of finish in a natural place the way this one did. But this is interesting, because we can mod 3 this line. What do I mean by that? Well, let's think about how we could express the sum total of this line mathematically. We know those 3 squares add up. Let's say these 3 squares add up to x again. Then these 3 squares add up to x. And these 2 squares add up to x as well. So the total for this line is 3 lots of x, 3x. Now, 3x is obviously divisible by 3 this time, but we know from the secret that 45 is divisible by 3. So if the whole row is divisible by 3 and these cells summed together are divisible by 3, what does that tell us about this cell here? Well, that must also be divisible by 3. In order to ensure that the whole row is divisible by 3. So this square here is 3, 6 or 9. And that feels like the biggest breakthrough we've made. Yeah, hang on, look, we've got the same in column 2. In column 2 we've got another line. Let's use y this time. Y, y, y. So 3y means this has to be divisible by 3 in order to preserve the mod 3 nature of column 2. So now we've nearly got something going on in box 1. So maybe we can just do maths now, can we? I'm thinking about can we maths the value of this domino? Because if this is a 3, these 8 cells sum to 42. And we know that each strand of the line, these 2 cells, therefore, have to add up to 14. 14 divided by 3. So this is going to be 14, this is going to be 14, and this is going to be 14. So if this is 3, this can't be 3, and this is 14. So this is either 8 or 5, depending on whether this is 6 or 9. Okay, well if this is 6 on the other hand, these 8 cells sum to 39, which means we're looking for 13 in each box. So 6, and this is 3, 6 or 9. So if this is 6, this can't be 3 because then this would have to be 10. If this is 6, this can't be 6 because that's going to repeat 6 in the box. So if this is 6, this is 9 and this is 4. Right, now if this is 9, that's the only other possibility. If this is 9, 36 is the sum of those 8 cells, so we're averaging 12 for each line segment. So 9. Oh, well that's huge. That can't be 9. Because if this is 9, now this square here has to be 3 or 6. But these two squares together have to add up to 12. So it's either 3, 9 repeating the 9, or it's double 6 repeating the 6, which is rather good. So we can get rid of this is never 9. So this is 3 or 6. Oh, well that's good, but it's not actually, it's limited this square, but it's not actually given us any digits. That's weird, isn't it? Because that definitely felt sort of breakthrough-esque. So, right, let's go back to it. Let's just think again. This is 3 or 6, which means this domino is adding up to 14 or 13. So this is 14 or 13, and this is 14 or 13. Nope, that's not enough. So these 3 squares together are either adding up to 17, or if that's a 6, it's 19. So 17 or 19, which means these squares are adding up to 28 or 26. I can't do anything with column 3, can I? Oh, it's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh my goodness, you can. You can. Look at column 3. And we know almost nothing about column 3, but with a little bit of attention, we can note those 8 cells add to an even number. This is beautiful. Look, right, so let's start down here. Let's call this X. We're doing lots of algebra today. This is X, so this also sums to X. So together, these 5 cells sum to 2x. Let's do the same with this, but we'll use y instead. Let's make this y. So this is also y. So these 3 cells sum to 2y. So altogether, these 8 cells sum to 2 brackets x plus y. In other words, these 8 cells sum to an even number, but the column sums to an odd number. So this has to be odd, and 4 and 8 get removed, and that's a 5. I can't remember what 5 went with. 5? No, we can't make 13. It must be 14 here. So this is 9, and that means that one had to be a 3. There we go. We've got digits. We are off and running. So we've got 3, 9, 5. This adds up to 14. This adds up to 14. Oh, hang on, and maybe I can do this column now using maths again, because 45 minus 9 is 36, so these average 12. Oh, look, yeah, this averages, well, this has to sum to 12, this has to sum to 12, and this has to sum to 12, because 3 times x equals 36 means x equals 12. Now, if that adds up to 12, we can't use 9 or 5, so that's got to be 4, 8, because it can't be 5, 7, or 3, 9. So these add up to 12. And I'm noticing here I've not used 1 and 2 yet in this column. And I can't use 1 and 2 together, because if I use 1 and 2 together, the third digit will be a 9. I've already got a 9 in the column. So in this string of digits, there's either a 1 or a 2. And if there's a 1, then we need two cells that sum to 11 that are not 2, 9, 3, 8 or 4, 7. So one string along this line is 1, 5, 6, and the other is therefore 2, 3, 7. But we don't know which way up those are. I love this puzzle already. This is such an interesting rule set. It really is. I love the fact that you can deduce these digits just using sort of parity and a bit of mod 3. That really, for some reason, that just warms the cockles of my heart. Now, what are these digits then? 1, 2, 6 and 7. 1, 2, 6 and 7. Right, okay. So we now know the sum of those two digits as well, don't we? Because these two digits are axiomatically the sum of those four digits. The sum of these four digits is 16. Oh, so this is just a 7-9 pair, I think. I think that's right, isn't it? So we know that those two sum to that. We know these two sum to that. So we know together they sum to that plus that. Yeah, so that must be, these two must add to 16, so they must be 7 and 9, because what we can't do is go double 8. Right, yeah, okay, and now I'm going to come back to column 2 again, because we said one of these strings was 2, 3, 7. Well, it's not that one, because there's a 7 in the box now. So that, I think, is a 2, 3, 7 combo, and this was the other one, which was 1, 5, 6. I'm a bit worried about how we're going to get into the right-hand side of this grid, but we're doing quite well on the left-hand side. Do we know what this line's total is now? Or not? So if this is a 7, let's just think about this for a second. If this is a 7, this is a 7, so that's 7, 14, 19, 45 minus 19 is 26, so this would be 13 and this would be 13. And if this would be, no, that doesn't work. Okay, that doesn't work, because if this adds up to 13, how are we going to make a domino add to 13 when we can't use 5, 8, we can't use 6, 7, and there's going to be a 9 here, so we can't use 4, 9. So I don't think this is a 7. So this is a 7, this is this is a 9. Those two squares are therefore 2 and 7. So yeah, and that does work. So 1 and 6 add to 7. So it looks like the arithmetic works here. These two squares now have to add up to 9. We might be able to do some maths on box 2 as well, but let's just carry on focusing over here, because we now ought to be able to work out the value of this, shouldn't we? Because we've got 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 5 is 23. So these 5 cells sum to 22 to make 45 altogether. 22 divided by 2 is 11, so that adds to 11, with this not being 2, 9, 5, 6 or 4, 7. So this is 3, 8. These squares here are 1, 4 and 6, I think, just to complete the column. 1, 4 and 6 do add to 11, so that suggests we're on the right lines. And these two squares are a 2, 4 pair. And these three squares are 5s, 8s and 9s. Oh, I mean, it's magnificent, the work we've done on the left-hand side. It really is. So now, how do we take this and somehow find out more about the right hand side of the grid? So 11. So these two squares add to 11. These two squares add to 11. Problem is we know almost nothing about this box. These add up. Oh, I tell you what, we might be able to do box 3. Those add to 11, and these three squares add up to was it 14? So 14 plus 11 is 25. These three squares have to add up to 20. But okay, I think one of these cells is a 9 then. That might be wrong, but the reason I think that's true is that none of those three squares is a 9, and these three squares add to 11. So if we put a 9 in one of those three squares, we'd have to go 9 double 1, which we can't do because we can't repeat 1 in the box. So the 9 must be contributing to the 20 total, but I don't know whether the 9 is on this line or not. At least I don't think I do. Oh, we did something with column 9, didn't we? Those three squares had to be odd. Ah, no, that's not useful. Okay, so do we know more about box 2 than I thought we did? That's 14. Oh yeah, hang on, look. That's 14. That's 9, so that's 23. Those two are 11, so that's 34. So these squares add to 34. Those two squares add up to 11, which is the world's most useless total. Good grief. Bother. So we've got 11, 11, 9, 14. Oh, I've got a 1s and 2s thing going on in the top row again, have I? Because look, I've not used 1 and 2, and I can't use 1 and 2 in the same box here because 1 plus 2 would require an 11 in the third digit. So 1 will have to go with two squares adding up to 13, which are not 5, 8 or 4, 9. So 1, 6, 7 goes in one of these strings. 1, 6, 7 in one of them, and then 2, 4, 8 in the other one. 1, 6, 7, 2, 4, 8. The only thing that makes me think about, or that I think is interesting there, is that 2, 4 and 8 are a lot of even digits. Oh, got it. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. Look at this. This is stunning setting. I don't know who 28 degrees is. Well, I do. It's Maxim Lee. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever done a puzzle by this person before. But this is magnificent. Look, how could this be 2, 4, 8? That is the question I want to pose. The answer is it can't be, because this is 3 even digits. How many even digits are we going to find if we correctly complete this puzzle in box 2? Well, there will be 4 even digits. There will be 2, 4, 6 and 8. But we just said that those two squares sum to 9. Now, if you're adding 2 cells to an odd number, one of those cells is even, one of those cells is odd. So this requires one even number. Those two squares sum to 11. So they also require one even number. Those two squares sum to 11. They also require one even number. So these 6 cells require 3 even numbers. So if this is 2, 4, 8, that's 6 even numbers in the box, which is nonsense. Now, that means I think this is 1, 6, 7, which does give us the correct quota of even numbers. This is 2, 4, 8. Now, does this 9 arrow or 9 line come into its own? 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6. Yes, it does. That's a 4, 5 pair. I love this. This is just beautiful. It's a beautiful puzzle. So we've not used 3, 8 or 2, 9. So these squares here are 2, 3, 8, 9 in some order. We just have to make sure that those two sum to 11 and those two sum to 11. Right, let's have a look at this box again now. Now we've got 3 even digits in it, and we know those 3 squares sum up to 11. We can't use more than... This is... Yeah, I love this. I just love it, because this is 3 digits that have to sum to an odd number. Therefore, we know that these 3 digits contain an odd number of odd numbers, if that makes sense, i.e. it's either going to be 2 even numbers and an odd number added together, or it's going to be 3 odd numbers added together. If you try and add an even number of odd numbers to any number of even numbers, you will get an even number. And here is a knowledge bomb. 11 is not even. So there must be, well, we've used up 3 even digits, so this can't be 2 even digits and an odd digit, so it's 3 odd digits that sum to 11, which I can do. That's 1, 3 and 7. So these squares, therefore, are 5, 6s and 9s, just to complete the box. And 5, 6 and 9 do add to 20, which is what we wanted. Now, there must be something going on in one of these rows now. I can't see it immediately, but I sort of feel like this is going to be forced, isn't it? There must be a triple or a quadruple or even a quintuple, perhaps. Although, if there was a quintuple, there would be a quadruple as well in the other digits. I don't know what it is. What about these 2 squares then? So these 2 squares are adding up to a relatively large number, minimum of 11, maximum of 15. So we don't know about this one at all, do we? The upside down question mark. I don't know, what do we, and we know those 3 squares are, they were odd. So these two squares sum to an odd number, and that's odd, so this is even. Oh, that's it, yes. Look at this column. So we said earlier, right at the beginning, about 26 minutes ago, that these 6 cells sum to an even number because it's x plus x, so it's 2x. So these 3 are odd to get us to the odd number 45. Well, that's even. So that preserves the parity of that equation. These 2 squares have to add to an odd number now. This itself is odd, so that's got us to the right parity, and we need to preserve parity by looking at this square. Now, the way we preserve parity is with an even number, and this can only be, therefore, 6, which means those 2 squares are 5 and 9, so we can get rid of 9s from these squares. Oh, 6 sees that square, so that's 1, that's 6. 1 comes out of those. I've now got a 3, 7 pair and a 1 here. 3, 7 means that square becomes a 2, that square becomes a 7. That square's not 2 anymore. This is 5, 9, so that resolves the 4, 5 in here. So that's 5, that's 4, that's 4, that's 8. These 2 squares are now 2 and 3, so those squares must be 8 and 9. Oh, I see. Right, okay. So this is either going to be 2, 9 or 3, 8, because we know that this line here is, we're always looking for 11 totals, and then those 2 would add up to 11 to take the balance. Okay. So this line adds to 14 now. That's quite large. So these 2 squares are either 6, 8 or 5, 9. And these 2 squares are either 6, 8 or 5, 9. And these 2 squares can't be 9 because we already have 9 in the row. So these 2 squares can't be 5. Oh, that's getting close, isn't it? So we've almost got a quadruple or a triple in column 6. That can't, oh, this can't be 5. So if this can't be 5, that can't be 9. I've now got a 6, 8 pair, which means that square can't be 6 or 8. So this is 7 or 9. Oh, it's getting closer. Okay, I don't know how to resolve that, I don't think. Do we know what this domino is? This domino adds to 11. It's not 5, 6 or 3, 8 or 4. Ah, that's 4. Right. Yeah, we do actually. In fact, I can place the digits on this domino because I think it has to be a 2, 9. It's adding up to 11. It's not 4, 7. It's not 3, 8, it's not 5, 6, so it's 2, 9, and there's a 9 there, so that's 9, that's 2. So that's not 9, which means that's not 5. So we've now got 6 6s and 8s, and my voice is gradually going. These can't be 6s, that's a 6. Come on, Simon, you have to finish the puzzle before your voice gives out. Although, having said that, this is not... It's a quite beautiful Sudoku, and I absolutely love it. And I really think that this variation has legs as well. I think there could be many beautiful puzzles made with this rule set. But it doesn't feel very easy. What about this row? We've effectively got 5 digits in it. 1s, 3s, 4s and 5s into those squares. Let's do some good lifting, see if that will make us finish with some alacrity here. Unfortunately, I don't know if it will. How many digits in this box are not on lines? Is it just this one? So this is 11. We don't know what this one is. That's the problem, and we only have a vague idea what this one is. Oh, 6, 8 here. Right, that's looking at that. So that's a 3. That's an 8. Does that help? I don't think it does. No, I'm stuck. Is it this column? I suppose I can work out what those 3 squares have to add up to, don't I? Oh, maybe it's the 9. Maybe 9 is difficult to put on this line or something. Let's do some maths. We know that these 3 squares either sum up to 9, 11 or 15. So if these add up to 9, these add up to 36, this would add up to 18, which it probably can. I don't know. Is there some reason it can't add up to 18? This would add up to 18. Ah dear, I think I'm not on the right track here. Is it Sudoku? Can we do some more Sudoku? Let's check whether we've done all the Sudoku we can do. Oh, 9 here. I can do more Sudoku. Look, I can resolve those. Oh, that will be useful. That will give me a 9 here and then 8 there. And this is on a line. So now those add up to 11. So that's a 2. That's a 3. Because those add up to 11 as well. And Sudoku. This is not 3 anymore. This 9 gives me that square. That's a 7. Right, and this was the one that worked a bit like an arrow. So those 3 squares add up to 7. So they are 1, 2 and 4. Here we go. So that's not 2. That's a 1 just by Sudoku. That's a 4. That's a 2. Oh, good grief. 4 must go there in box 5 by Sudoku again. So now those 3 squares are they're the digits 1, 3 and 5, which add up to 9. Also, which one of them is a 5? It's that one, because of this 5. So this is a 1, 3 pair, which we can do. That's 3, that's 1, that's 1, that's 5. That square's now... We've now got a 3, 5 pair over there. We've got 6 digits effectively placed in row 5, so we still need 2s, 4s and 7s into the balance, and in this row we need 1, 2, 4 and 9. Okay, let's put that in and have a look. That can't be 1. Right, I think we've probably got to look at this domino now, because we know this adds to 9. It's not 1, 8, 2, 7 or 4, 5, so it's 3, 6, and that's a 3 therefore, and that's a 6, and that's a 6, and that's an 8, and that's an 8, and that's a 6, and 6, 7 means that's a 1, 6 here means that's a 6, that's a 7. This column needs a 9 in it, I can do that. This column needs a something in it. I don't know what the something is, but it goes there. It's a 7. And those two squares are 8 and 5. So that means this one got 13 on it here. So those add up to 13. Can I lock a 6 into them? Not quite. 1 in box 9 is a little, well, it's one of 4 places. Now we can probably tidy up quite a bit here. Let's try and do that. 3, 6 and 2. So that's not 6. That's not 2 or 3. That's in fact 7 therefore. 9 comes out of here. 4 comes out of here. 1 comes out of here. Bother. Bobbins, that doesn't actually do it. 13 here. Oh, do we know what those add up to now? No, we actually haven't made any progress on this column. What were we looking for here? If that was 7 plus 2, 9. These were adding up to 18. Yeah, you can do that. 9, 4, 5 would work. 9, 7 doesn't work because you can't put a 2 here. Let's check the others. If we go 4 here, then this is 11, which means these have to average 7. So this would be 17 then. So if that's a 9, these have to add up to 8. Which doesn't work. What if that's not a 9? If that's not a 9, you can't get to 17 actually, because you can't. 4 plus 5 plus 7 is only 16. That's weird. Okay, so this is not 4. It doesn't work. You can't make those add up to the right number. What about if this is 8? And these are, well, these are 15, which means this is 15 and this is 15. So if this is 15 and that's a 9, these two have to add up to 6, which doesn't work. If this is not a 9, and that's a 7, these have to add up to 8, which doesn't work. What if that's not a 7 then? 5 plus 4 plus 4 is not good. This just doesn't work. This is great because that means that this is not an 8 either. I think that's a 2. And that's going to put all sorts of pressure on this, because this now adds up to 18, which means we need the 9. We need these to add up to 9 themselves now, and the only way of doing that is if that's a 4 and that's a 5, which gives us a 3 here and a 3 here and a 7 here. And now we can get rid of, oh look, we can get rid of 9 and 4 from that domino. So this is a 1-2 pair. So this is a 7. This 1-2 pair fixes the 2 in box 4. That's a 4 now. This 8 fixes the 8 at the top. That's now a 4. 4 is in one of 2 places in box 9. But more importantly, we know these digits now, don't we? They've got to be a 7, an 8 and a 3. And 3, 7 and 8 do add to 18, and that's got to be an 8 by Sudoku. So that's not an 8. So these squares here are a 3, 7 pair I see. So 7 goes there. 3 goes here. 3 goes here. 2 goes here. 2 is locked on the line here. So we're looking for 13. We know there's a 2, so the other 2 cells add to 11. And they're not 2, 9, they're not 3, 8, and they're not 4, 7. So this is 2, 5, and 6, which means we can place the 4 not on the line, which gives us that digit, that digit, that digit. I've got a 5, 8 pair here as well now, actually. So these 2 squares are forced to be 2 and 6. And we can see the order. So that's 6, that's 2, that's 5. That fixes the 5 and the 8. Fixes the 8 here. These 2 squares have got to include a 1, so I'll put the 1 there. Put the 9 here. The 9 and the 5 go in. The 1 and the 2 go in. The 9 and the 5 go in. And that's how to solve equal sum lines 2, even with no voice. And that is one of the most fun Sudoku puzzles that we've done on the channel in a long time. It was absolutely brilliant. it requires some really quite fresh thinking, and I loved it for that reason. The whole way, in fact, for me, these top 3 rows are just magnificent. The fact that this is resolvable at all, box 1, is surprising and beautiful. But then it was the stuff I could do with the even this 2-4-8 combination not being able to go in box 2 because there would be the wrong count of even digits. That's gorgeous. And then the fact this digit was absolutely magnificent. The fact that I knew they were odd, this was even, this was odd, and therefore I knew this had to be even, it was just wonderful. It really is wonderful. Loved it. I hope you guys did too. Let me know in the comments. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic. My voice lasted. Hooray!